Hello, I am William Jamal Wright.
I am Mrs. HattieJo.
And this is our podcast, What Are We Doing? So, what are we doing?
Well, I may have given it away with my little introduction,
Yes.
my unorthodox introduction, but we are
Officially,
newlyweds.
Yes, officially married. So this episode we're going to be talking about our wedding day and everything and the whole process and enjoy being married.
Yes.
So,
My new husband.
yes, and my wife here. We have a husband and wife podcast.
This is probably going to make everybody else roll their eyes, but like all week we've been like, hey husband, like, hey wife, and just giggling and excited about it. So.
Yes. It's new. It's a new title for us.
It is.
New label, so it is. Once you get, it's kind of like becoming the boss. Once you become the boss, like you want people to call you by the boss. Like, hey, supervisor. Like, I'm not just an underling anymore. I'm the supervisor.
That's right. Well,
You're not my fiance anymore. You're my wife. So.
That's right. It's funny. We were talking just the other day how we've both had times of like speaking about each other and being like, my husband, my husband. You know.
Yeah.
Right? So we're adjusting to the new labels, but it's fun.
Yes, it has been very enjoyable, and definitely. I was playing basketball the other day, and so I was like, "Oh, so you got?" I was talking to them about you, and I was like, "My fiancée wife," and they're like, "Oh, you got a fiancée wife?" So congratulations on just getting married. I used to have a fiancée wife as well. So.
Now she's just a wife.
Yeah.
One day. Yeah, so I guess this is technically supposed to be our podcast for August.
Yes.
But we got married at the end of August on Palindrome, 8/28. I couldn't be more thrilled. This is the exact face Imaj made when we told him. He knows that I love this game that I would always play when cheerleading at basketball games. Is I'd like look at the scores and like wait for palindromes, which happen way more often than you'd think. And so I'd also, I mean, I'm not out here like calculating actual probabilities, but I'd always be looking like, what's the next one? How likely is it? You know, is it 17-71? That's unlikely. You know, is it? There are other ones that are more likely, and so anyway. I always had my little eye out for the next palindrome that would come up, and anytime it did, I would just freak out, get so excited, and this tradition has continued on well past the college years into the basketball watching on TV or when we would go in person even. Indoctrinated this one. Now, sometimes I'll be cooking or doing something else in another room and he'll be like, oh, palindrome! And same thing when Imaj was here with us, so they both know I have a special love for the palindromes. Got my nerd hat on here, but I'm not ashamed. It's a fun game. You should try it. So anyway, yeah, this is our August podcast.
Yeah. So what did you? So how was the wedding for you? What are some like your not top three, but what are three memorable moments that you like had from the wedding?
Three memorable moments. Well, I would say my most, oh gosh, it's gonna be hard to narrow this down to three. So before I talk about my three most memorable moments, I do want to say I was writing thank yous to all of our vendors today, and also reviewing them on various wedding websites and on Google and whatever, because they all did a great job, and I wanted to give back in some small way, and especially thank them for the great job that they did. But one thing that I was thinking back on that I am so grateful for was, and this is a thank you to you for all the help that you did, my parents for all the help they did, especially Mom and Scott. Like, they went above and beyond in getting things planned out, organized, taken care of, so that all I had to do on the day of the wedding was show up and enjoy it. Like, I didn't have to be responsible for anything. Like, shout out to my bridesmaids too for taking care of all the pictures and all the stuff. Like, I didn't have to worry about a single thing, and I could just sit back and enjoy all, because it was a really emotional day for me.
Yeah.
With emotions like with us, but also with my parents and my best friends. So I just felt like overwhelming gratitude to be able to be in the moment and experience that to the fullest without anything else taking any of my mental energy. Like, not a single drop of mental energy was spent on anything else. And so I feel really, really, really lucky to have had that experience.
Good.
Yeah, and so it makes my heart smile to this day thinking back on that.
Yeah, and definitely like appreciation for everyone that was involved, like your family, like Jeffrey, like the
Oh my gosh, Jeffrey
officiant,
did
like
such a good
he
job.
did such a great job.
Which is actually was going to be one of my moments. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get
Okay.
there. But yes, we definitely want to.
I feel like you're kind of thanking everyone like here, so I feel like we should just
But that's
continue.
not. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Let's continue. Thanks.
So just I would like to give a shout out to like just my family, thanking them all for attending. My nephews and my niece, like they were all a part of the wedding.
They did such a great job.
And did an amazing job.
And your
just like
sisters
my sisters
and getting them here.
Yeah, like they all like it was a great time. It was had by all, and like shout out to like my groomsmen. They like were chauffeuring me around everywhere on the wedding day. Like we went to Top Golf and like hit some balls, and then like
last swing before the ring.
Then we got over to like the wedding venue, and like I literally was just very similar to like you were saying, like just got in the car and was just riding around. And then also special shout out to Patrick, the best man. He did a great job. He helped my grandma like when she needed to get up the stairs. He was always lurking around somewhere, like just waiting to spring into action.
Like a guardian angel, like he's
So,
like,
yeah.
I will not let this go awry.
So I was very appreciative of him and being there, and then he threw us a nice little after party.
Really nice after party.
So we definitely appreciate him, and that's kind of like your parents, of course, they did a great job, and Brent.
Yeah, taking care of the rehearsal
Yeah,
dinner and the welcome
we
party.
definitely appreciate everything.
Really appreciate that. And
everything that you guys did in making it such a wonderful event.
And most of all, just for everybody coming.
Yeah.
That was what, from day one, that was the thing that was most important to us, was celebrating this time with so many people we love and care about. So thank you to each and every one of you. So that was awesome. But okay, so top 3 memorable moments. So,
well, not top 3, just 3 memorable moments.
Oh.
So I don't want you to like rank them, like just 3 memorable moments that you had. They don't have to be your top 3, like just 3 memorable moments that you had.
okay. Well, it's just hard because my brain either goes in timeline order or it needs to go in like most meaningful. And so I feel like I'm going to forget something. Or I'm just going to have like top a million moments.
Well, you were just giving 3, so just like.
Okay. Well, I would say.
However you want to do it, just give us 3.
I would say my one very meaningful moment was beforehand when we were getting dressed. The girls had gotten our hair done at a salon, and we had these little robes, and so we went to the venue, and our dresses were already at the venue. We dropped them off the day before, and so we got ready at the venue. And I put on my dress, and I put on my veil, and my mom like got really teary, and it was just a really exciting and meaningful moment because I know that she has done so much to make this like the perfect day for me. And that was probably the moment when I really like felt like a bride, was the veil situation, which my mom also made my veil, so she did a very good job. Yeah.
Your mom was very hands-on the wedding process.
Did.
She made a lot of stuff.
She made a ton of stuff. Everything on the tables, the table runners she made. She made your vest and the boys' vest, the girls, flower girls' dresses. The robes that we had, she actually embroidered them. And she made your ties.
Mm-hmm.
And she made my veil. So I'm sure I'm forgetting something because there was so many things. Anyhow, she did great. But anyway, I felt like that was a special moment that we shared because it was us there together. Nobody else was in the room, and it was kind of like, we've done the dress rehearsals, like here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's starting, and so that was really special for me. My second memorable moment was, honestly, when I'm standing there with my dad and Scott, one on each side, and we're waiting before walking down the aisle, and we were waiting inside, and everyone else had kind of been trickling out at the time, and I could hear the music, and it sounded so beautiful, and I was like thinking in my mind, oh my gosh, like this is it, this is so exciting, I'm so like calm. Like I remember being surprised, not that I thought I'd be nervous, but just being like, this is really exciting. All I feel is like calm and peaceful, like, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we walked out there and I could see everybody, I had this like almost started crying right then and there. I was like, keep it together, like, and I just remember, like, I can't even put into words the feeling of just elation to be about to be married to you. So that was another memorable moment. And then I really enjoyed our first dance. That was a very memorable moment for me.
Nice, very nice.
So how about you?
Yeah, I would say like 3 memorable moments that I had was from like specifically the wedding day was our first look. So we did the first look before the wedding, and we were outside.
Which I'm glad we did.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like we made the right choice there for us. And so like being out there and like having our backs to each other and turning, and the photographer actually gave me some little words of wisdom. She's like, take as much time as you want. Like this is pretty much gonna be like the only like 20 minutes where you guys have to like yourself. So enjoy each other, like just enjoy this moment being together. And so that was definitely a memorable moment, being there and enjoying like the first look. The next moment I would say is dancing like the mother-son dance. That is something I'll definitely remember like the rest of my life. Just like being there and dancing with my mom, and like just our little conversation that we had, and like, it was almost like just a perfect moment.
From an onlooker, it looked like a perfect moment. You guys both looked like you were so joyful and heartfelt, and you could like feel the love coming from you guys.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, of course, I had my nephews there, and Hattie's mom did a great job with the ties. But before the wedding, so Patrick, the best man, they all got there like probably like an hour and a half before the wedding, and so I had Patrick tie all their ties, and so like it was kind of like sharing a moment, like my two families are kind of joining here, colliding here. So Patrick tied all their ties, and had them looking
great.
Had them looking good. So it was just like a cool little moment of like two worlds, like me being the connector of two worlds that like, and many others, like it would be hard pressed for them to like come in contact with each other. So it was cool to see like Patrick tying their ties, and he was like, oh, this is not right. So like he's a perfectionist, so he was like going back and forth, and they're all just like,
they didn't know what to expect. They're like,
yeah.
I've never done this before.
So it was just a neat little moment that I'll definitely cherish, and it was cool to have.
Yeah. Another moment that I really cherished was, so when my mom married my stepdad, I don't exactly remember how old I was, but I was old enough to have distinct memories of it. And they got married in their house that had this staircase that kind of, it didn't do a full spiral, but it wasn't straight either. Like it had a little curve to it. And so I was a flower girl, and I remember standing there and watching my mom come down the stairs, and it was one of those like, oh, like you can't, like just moments. And so I really enjoyed that our venue had a cool little like staircase thing,
yeah.
And I really enjoyed the moment when they introduced us at the beginning of the reception, and we got to come down the stairs. So that was just really special for me.
Yeah. So it was a good time.
And no one fell. It was great.
Yes.
Everyone stayed on their feet.
So you spoke about this a little bit earlier. Were you ever nervous during the week or anything? Like, how was your nerves during the week?
I was just too excited. It felt so right. Like I've never felt nervous about it. There would be times that I might feel, the whole wedding process, that I might feel anxiety about getting something done or making certain choices, but I never felt nervous thinking about like the wedding itself. Yeah. And honestly, I have to give like huge credit to my brother Jeffrey. As we kind of mentioned, he was our officiant, and he did a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job. And I think it was really reassuring to me, you know, because as I'm walking down the aisle, you know, I'm getting all emotional. And it was really reassuring to me to see him up there and be so calm and so collected. And I just had that complete reassurance of like, he's got this. This is going to be amazing. So I think that was really helpful. I mean, you were there too. But just knowing that this was such an important and like momentous time for us, and to have someone, like no one else I would trust to do like more to do it. So we were in good hands.
Yes, we were in very good hands, and you did a great job. I would say that I was I was nervous up until like the rehearsal dinner. Once the rehearsal dinner started, it was probably like midday in the rehearsal dinner day, because my mom had gotten there, my grandma was there, like.
And what were you nervous about?
Well, I was just nervous that like the people that I really wanted to be there weren't gonna be there.
Yeah.
And so like I was never really nervous about like saying I do or anything like that. Like that, I felt like all that part was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
For lack of better words, but like I was sitting like, I'm like, well, what if they can't make it? Like something comes up, because you just never know with life. Like,
you're right.
What if something comes up? Like,
and just like we were talking about, that was our number one thing from the beginning.
Yeah.
That was most important to us. And I agree with you. I wasn't nervous, but I was anxious. Like the day before on Thursday, all the things we had to do. Friday morning, all the things we had to do. But I agree, like once it was time for our rehearsal dinner and everybody was there and all the things were done, it was like, okay, now we can just enjoy. And it was really, really great to have your family be able to join us for that and be there for that.
Yeah. So that was the only thing, like you never know who can't make it for whatever reason. Right. So like I felt like that was the only real thing that I was nervous about. And my Aunt Sharon, she was like great, and she gave me some words of wisdom as well, along with a couple of other people. But her specifically, just about like you can't control like who comes, like whoever's supposed to be there is going to be there, and we're gonna have a great time. And so that kind of eased my like anxiety about like, well, what if such and such can't make it, or like, because I wanted them all to be there. Yeah. So that was the only thing that I was really like in the back of my mind thinking about or nervous about.
Nice. So, trying to think of other things. I guess I just am still so starstruck at like how amazing it was and how well it turned out. It's tough for me to really put things into words. So tell me a little bit about the morning that you had before showing up to the venue, because we had a great day at the salon and I really enjoyed that time. I felt like nobody was rushed. We had plenty of time, which I did not expect to have. I expected it to be kind of rushed, and also like 30 minutes in, our hairdresser was already like, ooh, we're behind schedule. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, are we gonna be rushed through this? But we ended up not being rushed at all. I felt like it was time that I could actually like pause, chat with my bridesmaids, like spend that time together. And they had some really adorable surprises for me, and they just did so many thoughtful things, and they were like spoiling me so much. But it was, to me, it was really nice to have that time to just be and hang out. And kind of similarly, once we got to the venue, I felt like there was a lot of time that really was kind of downtime. Like we didn't need all that much time, but it was good so we could have some snacks if we needed, extra bathroom breaks if we needed, just not have being rushed. And it was really fun to, do some cheers with our little like mimosa kit that Lauren and Holly made, or they've also made this big emergency kit of like random things you might need. And of course, some of those random things ended up being crucial because we didn't have them, and then we're like, oh, the emergency kit, and it had it. So anyway, it was great. But just like I said, just to relax, enjoy every moment, and spend time with each other. So tell me, so I really appreciated that and had a really good time. So what did you guys do before?
So we didn't have any like where to be until 2:30. We had to be at the venue, and so we had kind of mentioned it before, like, what are we gonna do? Like, maybe go shoot some pool, maybe golf. Like, what are we gonna do in the morning? And so I kind of just made the executive decision, like, hey guys, gonna go golf for like an hour and a half. We're gonna go to Top Golf. There's one like 20 minutes away from here, so like we can go there. Then I'll come back, and then we can come back and get dressed and get ready to go. So that morning, you of course woke up and left, and then I just chilled. I actually went and got a little small workout in. Just wanted to get the like blood flowing a little bit. So I actually did the elliptical for about 20 minutes. And then Nigel, who's my cousin, he came down to the weight room with me, and we talked and just hung out. He didn't have any workout shoes on, so he's down there running on the treadmill being a kid, and he like falls.
Is he barefoot?
Yeah, and he like falls and crashes into the treadmill. I'm like, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. He gets up real quick, and you can tell he's embarrassed. But we just hung out for a little bit, and like went to the weight room. Then I went back and hung out with my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt Cynthia in their room. Just for about 30 minutes, just chilled, and hung out with them. And then Tyler and Rob, as they got ready, we all drove out to the Top Golf, and then Ben and Sarah came, and then Patrick came, and so it was the five of us just chilling out there, playing a little Top Golf and hitting some balls. And then it got to like 12:30 or so. We headed back. I went to tell my grandmother again and my mom. They were all getting ready, and then I went up, took a shower, and got ready myself and headed over.
The rest is history.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
So another story that I wanted to share, I also really loved the daddy-daughter first dance too. But so a story that was really sweet to me is the song that we chose is called Drops of Jupiter by Train. And I remember distinctly, like I have a very distinct memory of coming home from gymnastics practice one night. My dad had picked me up and we're driving. I could even tell you, so I'm not very good at knowing like the names of streets, but if we went back to Colorado, I'd be able to like pinpoint the intersection that we were having this conversation. Like that's how distinct my memory is. But anyhow, the song came on the radio and he made some comment about how every time he heard it, he thought of me. And I was like, saving that nugget? Like, like I must have been 15, 16 years old type thing. And so then as we're planning for the wedding, I was like, hey Dad, is there any song that you want for our father-daughter dance? And he's like, oh no, like I have no idea, like you should choose a song. And I was like, okay. And so of course I chose that song. I was a little, I wouldn't say surprised, but I guess I had imagined he might choose that song on his own. But since he had no preferences, I was like, okay, well then I'll choose the song. And ever since he had made that comment, every time I hear the song, I think of him too.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're dancing and we're just kind of chatting back and forth. And he goes, like halfway through the dance, he's like, by the way, I really love this song. Every time I hear it, I think of you. And I was like, oh. So I thought it was really cute that he just like doesn't know the name of it. But that was really sweet and really meaningful to me. So yeah, it was good. And I just thought everything about the wedding came together so well. One thing that surprised me was so many people set my expectations like there's going to be some crisis. There's always some crisis and you just got to roll with the punches and go with it. And I felt like heading up to the wedding, you know, it's a pandemic. A lot of people at the last minute couldn't come, didn't feel comfortable coming. We had some changes. Maybe that could count as our crisis, I don't know. Or like what you were talking about when we were really anxious before the rehearsal dinner. But otherwise, I didn't feel like we had any, at least from my perspective, like major issues. Like there was no like, oh, like thing that you just have to be like, it's a small potato, don't worry, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is like, I was kind of surprised.
That we didn't have
I'm
a
grateful
major,
and thankful, but like
any major issues.
Yeah, I was just kind of expecting there to be something that, you know,
unforeseen.
Yeah, so many, like I hear stories about like someone, one of my coworkers got her dress, you know, it's like the day of the wedding, they like open it up and there's no veil included. And she's like, I definitely had a veil, like, and someone had to go like 30 minutes before the ceremony, like try to get a veil from the, you know, whatever, or different things, like the night before staying up till 5 a.m. This is Jen's wedding, like doing the seating chart and all this stuff, and you know, this, that, and the other.
Yeah. No, I definitely didn't think there was anything like major that came up, and if it did, like,
it was so far below my. If it did, it was so far below my radar that I didn't even notice it. But I felt very lucky. It was a great day.
Yes, it was a very good day.
So, what would you say was your least favorite? Maybe not necessarily part of the wedding day, but feel free to choose that if you had a least favorite. But of the whole wedding process.
I don't know if there's really a least favorite. I felt like you and your mom kind of handled everything, like from the like decorations and decor and stuff. Like I took care of the stuff that I had to take care of. I don't feel like there was any like there wasn't a least favorite part. Like I enjoyed all of it. Like
that's good.
Yeah. What was your least favorite?
Well, as you could probably guess. My least, I like to say that if time is on the x-axis here, at the beginning of time, stress was high, but by the wedding, stress was low.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always excited once we got engaged, but like my excitement definitely was at its lowest amount when we first got engaged and increased as we got to the wedding, which is the perfect combination. But I was very stressed at the beginning of trying to pick a venue, trying to find all these things, and like do all that planning process.
Yeah, and you definitely put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah, well, because I wanted it to be great. But anyhow, I'm really glad I don't have to do that again. And I was really glad that as time went on, all the decisions got easier and easier, and like it wasn't like that same amount of stress at multiple.
Yeah.
It was like
points.
just at the beginning, once we started knocking things off the list, like other things fell into place, decisions were, I just get overwhelmed with like too many options. And I feel like with weddings especially, there's 100 million options and all of them are great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, that's definitely not going to work, or that's horrible. It's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice too. Oh, that's nice as well. And then you're just like, ah, like I can't, you know, like this just information overload, options overload. So, yeah, I'm glad that's done. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're married.
Yeah, good. Yeah, he's right. You had some very cute vows.
Thank you.
I liked doing the vows. We wrote our own vows, and that was special to me. I thought that was very sweet.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the vows.
Yeah. Did you think my vows were long?
No.
Because you made some comment about, you're like, oh.
Well, no, like you like so you went first in saying your vows, and I went second, and so like yours went a little bit longer than I was expecting, or I didn't know how long it was gonna be, but it just went like longer than what I originally planned to say. Like it would have been like, oh, she had this nice like words to say, and he just had something very short and had to cut it off. Like, oh, is this how your love is?
I practiced mine and I timed it out, and it was 51 seconds. So don't think that I'm out here with like soliloquy on soliloquy, like monologue for 15 minutes type thing. It was. I did.
Yeah, well, if something goes 50 seconds and something goes 10 seconds, people are like, like why didn't the 10 seconds? Is that how much he really cares? And so like once
you wanted me to go first, because that was the other thing we were talking about. Jeffrey, he's like, do you have a preference on order? I'm like, I don't. Well, William might, but I don't care. And you were like, you should go first. You should go first.
Well, that is part of why like I wanted you to go. It was two things, kind of like the patriarchy and like the woman should go first. Not my best like moment here, but like the patriarchy. Thinking the patriarchy needs to go first. Woman should go first. And so then also I was like, yeah, like Hattie's practiced it a little bit more. I'm gonna kind of flow off the cusp here a little bit. I know these things that I want to say, but I definitely feel like I can.
Well, I can add that at the beginning. Like that was gonna be your style from the beginning.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you made a split-second decision. Like you had explicitly told me that well in advance.
Yeah, and there are like key points that I wanted to hit on. Right. So as long as I hit those key points, I was gonna be good.
Tail.
And so yeah, like you said your 50 seconds, and I was like, well, I need to extend mine a little bit just to like not make it seem like I did not give this any thought at all. Because I actually did give it a lot of thought, and I did like have a practice routine, but I needed to like once I heard yours, I was like, okay, I just need to add some more words of expression and love. And,
well, I thought it was great, and I couldn't have like been able to tell. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought it was very well said and very sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Getting married. All right, deuces.